Hey everyone, and welcome back to Abyssin. Today we've got a pretty fascinating story to dive into. On September 24th, 2005, a group of explorers set out for what at first seemed like a simple routine trip. Unlike some of the stories I usually share here, this one involves a team of very experienced cavers. But as you'll see, even when you know what you're doing, things underground can take a terrifying turn, and that's exactly what happened here. That morning, September 24th, 2005, the sun was shining over Sequoia National Park in California. 8 researchers were gearing up to descend into the Empire Mine Cave. Leading the expedition was Shane Fryer, alongside 25-year-old explorer Mindy Goldberg, 53-year-old veteran caver Dave Bunnell, and Joel Despain. The crew was made up of specialists, park rangers, and archaeologists, all brought together for one purpose: to study and photograph the mysterious silver mine ruins hidden beneath thick vegetation, relics from the ambitious mining operations dating back to the 1870s. The Empire Mine entrance is basically a vertical shaft, which means you don't just walk in, you have to rappel down with proper gear. Unlike horizontal cave entrances, vertical systems demand specific techniques and equipment for safe descents and ascents. Setting up the rope involves anchoring securely at the surface, adding backup safety points, and making sure the entire team knows the plan and emergency procedures. Everyone in the group understood all of this, but even with that preparation, some of them were about to experience one of the worst situations a caver can face. At the cave entrance, the team checked and double-checked their ropes and gear. Vertical exploration requires harnesses, helmets, headlamps, descent devices, and climbing equipment that must perform flawlessly in underground conditions. Shane, being the most experienced, took the lead. His role was to test the ropes, go down first, and evaluate the conditions inside. As a seasoned caver, he knew exactly why that responsibility mattered. His descent went smoothly. Right after him, Mindy clipped in and started down. She reached the cave floor without any issues and moved toward a narrow chimney that dropped deeper into the underground system. Shane stayed positioned above, keeping an eye on her progress as she squeezed into the tight space. Chimneys and caves are tricky. These vertical or near vertical passages require completely different body mechanics than moving through horizontal tunnels. Cavers need to brace their backs, feet, and hands against opposite walls to inch their way along, controlling every movement. Then it was Dave's turn. With decades of experience and the confidence that comes from 53 years of life underground, he began his rappel. The ropes held perfectly, and he touched down at the bottom of the shaft without incident. But Empire Mine was about to remind the team that caves can change in an instant. Formations that seem solid for decades can suddenly shift. As Dave began climbing down through the same chimney Mindy had just passed, disaster struck. Rocks that had stayed locked in place for years suddenly gave way. A huge block, loosened by vibrations from multiple people, temperature changes, or simply the slow wear of time, broke free from the wall. It slammed into Dave, pinning his backpack against the rock and trapping his leg in the narrow passage. In an instant, he was immobilized, bearing the crushing weight of the stone. In caving accidents, entrapment is one of the most dangerous scenarios. Confined spaces mean rescue options are extremely limited, but Dave's years of experience helped him keep calm. Instead of panicking, he analyzed his situation and began working methodically to free himself. Every movement had to be calculated so he wouldn't trigger more falling rocks or worsen his position. Ironically, the same backpack that was jammed against the wall acted as both a frustrating obstacle and a shield protecting his body from the full force of the rock. With determination, technique, and strength, Dave finally managed to pull himself free. But escaping came with a new and much bigger problem. The massive block hadn't just fallen and stopped, it had wedged itself into a new position, sealing off the chimney completely. Below the rock, Mindy suddenly found herself trapped. Just minutes earlier, that path had been her safe way down. Now, it was gone. She was stuck in the lower section, cut off from the rest of the group and from the only exit. In the silence of the cave, she had to confront the crushing reality of being isolated underground, with a giant rock blocking her way to freedom. The sound of the falling rock and Dave's shouts immediately caught the attention of Joel Despain, who realized how serious the situation below had become. Cave rescues demand quick thinking, technical knowledge, and flawless coordination between teammates. The tight spaces and limited access make any operation extremely difficult. Even with experienced explorers on hand, Joel's rushed descent marked the beginning of an improvised rescue that would test everyone's skill and determination. Unlike surface emergencies, where specialized crews can bring in heavy equipment and backup personnel, cave rescues rely solely on the knowledge and resources available right there in the moment. The team's collective experience underground quickly became their most valuable asset. Dave, Shane, and Joel found themselves facing what was essentially an engineering problem with life or death consequences. The massive rock blocking Mindy's exit weighed far more than any one of them could possibly move alone. Still, it had to be shifted, even slightly, to open up enough space for her to climb to safety. Cave rescues often depend on creative solutions, applying basic principles of physics with whatever simple tools or natural features happen to be available. The three men worked methodically to move the rock. The process required careful evaluation of leverage points, coordinated application of force, and constant awareness of the risk that more stones might come loose. The tight space of the chimney severely limited their options for using any kind of mechanical advantage. Unlike surface rescues, where heavy equipment and large crews can be deployed, inside the cave they had nothing but raw strength, simple tools, and the ability to improvise with the environment around them. Throughout the operation, staying in contact with Mindy was crucial, not only to coordinate their efforts, but also to monitor her physical and emotional state. Cave acoustics make communication difficult, and the stress of being trapped in a confined underground space can be overwhelming. Constant reassurance and feedback between the trapped caver and the rescuers help prevent panic and give the team vital information on whether their actions are working. Progress finally came when the three managed to open just enough space above the rock for Mindy to attempt an escape. The gap was tiny, barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through, but it meant the difference between being trapped or regaining freedom. Her climb upward through the narrow opening required not only physical skill, but also sheer mental determination. Every move had to be precise to avoid getting stuck again or causing more rocks to shift. When she successfully wriggled through the gap, it marked the climax of the rescue and gave the team back the ability to exit the cave safely. Even after Mindy was freed, the group tried to reposition the rock to restore the passage as it had been before. These attempts reflected both concern for future visitors and respect for cave conservation. But the sheer size, weight, and new position of the block made further adjustments impossible with the tools they had. In seconds, that rockfall had permanently altered the geography of Empire Mine, changing the path for anyone who would explore it later. With the entire team reunited and Mindy safely out of her underground prison, the group turned its focus to leaving Empire Mine Cave. All 8 participants made it back to the surface, bringing a safe close to what could have ended in tragedy. The archaeological and photographic mission that had drawn them there was overshadowed by the dramatic geologic event that unfolded underground. Yet the ultimate goal, ensuring everyone's safe return, was achieved thanks to skill, teamwork, and determination. Because of the quick and coordinated actions of Dave Bunnell, Shane Fryer, and Joel Despain, what might have been a devastating disaster instead became a story of successful rescue. If you've made it this far, I'm guessing you enjoyed this story, and if you did, you'll probably like the other one showing up on your screen right now. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end, and I'll see you in the next video.